Secretary General, Kailash ji, Sharmila ji, Sachin, the same age, remember? Rajiv Chandran, all of you distinguished guests. I have no idea why I'm here, because I'm not a UN ambassador, but and I don't play cricket. So other than Sachin, actually, I've been very privileged that I have worked with Kailash ji. I have done some work with the UN organizations, especially UNICEF, for almost 10 years now. I've done a film with Sharmila ji. Rajiv Chandran was a neighbor. So I have some connection, I guess. When I was coming here, I was thinking some stories of the past were coming back to me. And I remembered there was a public service ad, the second one probably that I did. It's just a 60-second ad that I did for UNICEF, which was about education and against child labor. And at that time, we had taken the children from Kailash ji's organization, from I think your Rajasthan group and some from the Delhi group. And I did a workshop with these children, and then we were shooting. So these were children who had been rescued, who were now being educated, who were wearing better clothes. They had a different life, they had a new life. And when some of these children had to play act as, you know, as a child labor, one of the girls, she was I think about 6 years old, and she had to kind of play act a rag picker. And she had to carry a big bori, a big gunny sack, and walk on the railway platform. And all of these kids were asked to get some of their old clothes, because now they were wearing better clothes, but they still had their old clothes tucked away with them. And this girl refused to wear the old clothes. And it was really tough for me to tell this child, and we had a long conversation with this 6-year-old to tell her what film we were doing, why it was important that she plays this role so that other children, other rag pickers, other little kids who were employed as child labor, and the people who allow this, all of us, we all go in these cars, we walk on the streets, we see little chaiwalas, we see children begging on the street. So we are all complicit, I think, in this crime. And when I explained to her, she completely understood what her mission was, why she was doing what she had to do. And somehow that memory came back. And Rajiv, you asked me, what is the future I would want for my son? Having worked in this space for almost 20 years, when I became a mother rather late in my life, I was almost nervous about the fact that my child is going to ask me many questions. And I'm not going to have the answers for it, because we live with many double standards. All of us have many contradictions. We have somehow numbed ourselves of many realities, otherwise probably we wouldn't be able to exist. We have given ourselves many stories to carry on with life. But what if this little child is going to ask me? And he does. When we are sitting in a car and there's a little child who, sort of bangs our window, and he wonders, he doesn't ask, he looks at me, he looks at the child, he wonders what I'm going to do. And I don't know what to do. Should I be giving this child some money? And then you hear of all these rackets where children are being used. Should I not do? Should I keep some food? What if those biscuits packets get over? Is that good enough? Is it like a bandage on a much deeper wound? So I did go through many nightmares before he was born, and the nightmares continue, because I try and not lie to him. I try and tell him that, yeah, it's difficult. Some children we are privileged and some children don't. When he looks out of our window, we live near the sea in Bombay, and he sees young men and people defecating on the stones near the sea. And he looks at it and he doesn't want to talk about it because he thinks talking about defecation is not the best thing. And then when we engage in a conversation, and he feels really strange. We have so many bathrooms. Why can't they just come here and use our bathrooms when we have so many? Why do they have to defecate in the open? These are tough questions. And I think when you become a mother and you've engaged in all this, your contradictions stare at you more than ever. You realize that what you want for your child is what you want for all children. I think think that's a fair dream to have. I think it's a fair dream to have. And we really mollycoddle our children. We are not only just giving them clothes, food, we almost take that for granted. If we talk loudly, we feel maybe the child will learn that. We don't want him to be aggressive. What about those children who grow up in conflict regions? What are they watching in front of them? What are the children who grow up on streets? What are they looking at day in and day out? What are the children who live in slums with 6 people sleeping in that same room? What are they going through? But having said, all of this, I think I think someone spoke about it, I'm sorry I've forgotten, but someone talked about freedom. Just that freedom, to grow with that freedom. I think Kailashi, you said that, right? About the freedom. The freedom was your power. That's true. Freedom is something we take for granted. And I think freedom to question. If that one thing I'm very grateful to my parents is they gave me that freedom to question. And that doesn't remain in childhood, it remains all your life. Today you talk to young people, they are afraid to raise their hands first. When they sometimes ask almost naive questions. And you wonder, this person is a 18-year-old boy or a girl, why are they asking this question? And I think that's our arrogance, that we have assumed that everybody has that space to ask questions. Where is that public space? Where are those opportunities in families, in our education system, where young people can ask questions freely? So I think freedom of expression is something I hold very dear to me. And I think that's something we want for all our young people. Discrimination, Mr. Secretary General, you talked about discrimination, a world free of discrimination. I think that's what we want. If I had a daughter, I would teach her freedom and abandon. But I think if I have a son, it's a greater responsibility. How do we raise sons who are sensitive, who are all around them, they're looking at patriarchy. How do they still grow up differently? So I think we have many challenges. Why do people who have to be the sufferers only be fighting their battles? I think if you want a better world, all of us have to fight each other's battles. And I think then maybe some kind of a change will happen. Education. I remember years ago when I did my master's in social work, I was all very idealistic and excited about trying out new things. And I was in this slum working with young adolescent girls. And I was doing fun things with them because that's what I thought. I thought education should be fun. And one day a young girl came to me and said, can we please study and not just have fun? She wanted to read and write. And I think that's why I'm just going to finish, Rajiv, I'm really sorry. Just last sentence, that yes, we want to have fun, but there's lots that we have to do, and each one of us can do our bit. So let's be the change that we want to see in the world. Thank you.